Welcome back. So far in this course, we've learned a ton about making longer sentences. And in this lesson...
Billy, I have a question.
Hey, KitKat. And I have an answer. Maybe.
These lessons are packed with information, but it's a bit hard to keep up with everything. What should I do?
KitKat, this course isn't supposed to be all new information. You should have learned some of it already.
Okay, but it's still hard.
Let me help. Tell me what you already know, and I'll help you get up to speed.
I know the word kimchi, and K-pop, and Pikachu.
You might want to review my beginner course first, or at least review something, and I'll be waiting right here when you're ready.
All right, just give me a few hours and I'll be back. See you.
Good luck. Anyway, in this lesson, we'll learn about how to say but or however in order to add some contrast when connecting sentences. And again, you'll probably be familiar with the first few forms, but I'll also be teaching some more advanced ways to do this. First, here are all of the topics we'll learn about in this lesson. So let's get started with the first sentence connector.
저는 치즈를 좋아해요. 피자는 안 좋아해요.
I like cheese. I don't like pizza. These two sentences can be connected with but. This adds contrasting information to the sentence. The simplest way to do this is using the sentence connector 지만. For example,
저는 치즈를 좋아하지만 피자는 안 좋아해요.
I like cheese, but I don't like pizza. To use it, attach 지만 directly after a verb stem. So 하다 would become 하지만. Note that 이다 can become 이지만 after a consonant, or optionally 지만 after a vowel.
저는 프랑스 사람이에요. 한국어도 할 수 있어요.
I'm French. I can also speak Korean.
저는 프랑스 사람이지만 한국어도 할 수 있어요.
I'm French, but I can also speak Korean.
저도 공원에 가고 싶어요. 오늘은 시간이 없어요.
I also want to go to the park. I don't have time today.
저도 공원에 가고 싶지만 오늘은 시간이 없어요.
I also want to go to the park, but I don't have time today. We previously learned that it's not necessary to repeat the tense of the sentence when using the sentence connector 고. For example, even if the sentence ends in the past tense, the verb used with 고 can simply attach to the present tense verb stem. So 하다 would just become 하고. For example,
학교에서 점심을 먹고 집에 갔어요.
I ate lunch at school and then went home. An exception would be for emphasis, such as if you wanted to emphasize in the sentence that something happened in the past while you're in the middle of saying a very long sentence. This usually is not necessary. However, the sentence connector 지만 can and does attach to a verb stem using any tense that you want. Let's look at how this works. Note, these concepts will also apply to other sentence connectors that attach to the verb stem. Let's look at how to get the verb stem for each tense. For the present tense, 하다 would become 하지만. Simply remove the 다 at the end of an unconjugated verb. For the past tense, 하다 would become 했지만. Simply conjugate the verb to the past tense and remove everything after the double 시옷. For the future tense 겠다 form, 하다 would become 하겠지만. Or for the future tense 것이다 form, 하다 would become 할 것이지만 or 할 거지만. For the progressive tense, 하다 would become 하고 있지만. Here are some examples.
일이 재미있지만 조금 피곤해요.
Work is fun, but I'm a little tired.
그 영화를 봤지만 재미없었어요.
I saw that movie, but it wasn't fun.
예전에는 김치를 안 좋아했지만 지금은 좋아해요.
In the past, I didn't like kimchi, but now I like it.
어렵지 않을 거지만 준비를 많이 해야 돼요.
It won't be difficult, but I have to prepare a lot. Alternatively, you can use 하지만 to connect two sentences and add contrast. 하지만 is not a sentence connector, but can be used at the beginning of a sentence to mean but or however, and shows that the speaker is not done talking. It's used to add additional information to a conversation.
어제 친구를 만났어요. 하지만 얘기를 많이 못했어요.
Yesterday, I met a friend, but we couldn't talk a lot. However, be careful not to overuse 하지만, as it can sound unnatural if used more than once in a short time. Instead, use the sentence connector 지만.
어제 친구를 만났지만 얘기를 많이 못했어요.
Yesterday, I met a friend, but we couldn't talk a lot. Alternatively, use 그렇지만 in the same way as 하지만 at the beginning of a sentence. This originally comes from the verb 그렇다, meaning to be so, and shows more contrast than 하지만. You can think of it as meaning however, though, but, or that being said.
도와주고 싶었어요. 그렇지만 방법이 없었어요.
I wanted to help, however, there wasn't a way.
좋은 기회가 있었어요. 그렇지만 놓쳤어요.
There was a good opportunity, however, I missed it. Another way to add contrasting information to a sentence is using the sentence connector 으나. This is much less common than 지만 and is only used in formal writing and speeches.
열심히 노력하였으나 결과가 좋지 않았어요.
I tried hard, but the results weren't good. To use it, attach 으나 directly after a verb stem that ends with a consonant, or attach 나 if it ends with a vowel. So 하다 would become 하나, and 먹다 would become 먹으나. Note that common verb stem exceptions may apply. Here's some examples, and you can pause the video here. Here are some examples of this form.
날씨는 맑으나 바람이 셉니다.
The weather is clear, but the wind is strong.
재능은 있으나 노력하지 않습니다.
They have talent, but they don't try.
경험이 많으나 의사소통이 서툴러요.
They have a lot of experience, but their communication is poor.
다양한 의견은 있으나 확실한 답은 없어요.
There are various opinions, but no certain answer. Alternatively, use 그러나 in the same way as 하지만 or 그렇지만 at the beginning of a sentence. This also comes from the verb 그렇다. 그러나 is typically only used in formal writing and speeches.
오늘은 날씨가 좋았습니다. 그러나 내일은 비가 올 겁니다.
Today the weather was good. However, tomorrow it will rain.
품질이 아주 좋아요. 그러나 가격이 살짝 높아요.
The quality is very good. However, the price is slightly high. We previously learned about the sentence connector 고, meaning and, as well as 지만, meaning but. But there's another more common sentence connector, 대. The 대 form can mean both and but, and has several uses.
김치가 맵고 맛있어요.
Kimchi is spicy and it's delicious.
김치가 맵지만 맛있어요.
Kimchi is spicy, but it's delicious.
김치가 매운데 맛있어요.
Kimchi is spicy and but it's delicious. The way to make the 대 form will depend on the type of verb and the tense. Let's first look at the most common tense, the present tense. For descriptive verbs, attach 은대 directly after a verb stem that ends with a consonant, or attach 니은 대 if it ends with a vowel. So 크다 would become 큰데, and 작다 would become 작은데. Again, common verb stem exceptions may apply. For action verbs, attach 는데 directly after a verb stem. So 하다 would become 하는데. Note, if the verb stem ends with the consonant lir, remove it. So 살다 would become 사는데. Also, 있다 is conjugated as 있는, and 없다 is conjugated as 없는. Essentially, this is the same as conjugating a verb into an adjective in the present tense and then directly attaching 대. For example, 춥다 would normally conjugate into an adjective as 추운, which would then become 추운데, and 가다 would normally conjugate as 가는, so it becomes 가는데. The 대 form adds contrast between sentences. This feeling of contrast is similar to holding up your palm while adding additional information. You can think of A, 대, B as meaning A. On the other hand, there's B.
김치가 매운데 맛있어요.
Kimchi is spicy. Holding up the other palm, it's delicious. The contrast that's created by the 대 form sounds softer than 고 or 지만. You can think of 고 as meaning and or and also or and then, and 지만 as meaning but or however, and you can think of 대 as meaning and, but, or simply though.
조금 추운데 괜찮아요?
It's a little cold, but are you okay?
고양이를 좋아하는데 알러지가 있어요.
I like cats, but I have an allergy.
영희는 날씬한데 힘이 세요.
Youngie is thin, but strong.
한국 사람인데 한국어 잘 못해요.
I'm Korean, but I can't speak Korean well. While the 대 form is also commonly used as a sentence ending, this course will focus on its use as a sentence connector. As a sentence connector, the 대 form is also commonly used when starting to explain something. Again, imagine holding up your palm. It can tell the listener that you're going to present some new information or explain something. This feeling is similar to saying, "So let me tell you something." When using 대 to explain something, it's also common to use 대요 to sound extra polite. While adding 요 is not required when it's used as a sentence connector, it lets the listener know that the speaker is being extra polite before the sentence is finished. Using 대요 also allows the speaker to take a breath or pause for slightly longer without worrying about sounding too casual.
저는 잘 모르는데요. 괜찮을 것 같아요.
I don't know it well, but I think it'll be okay.
질문이 있는데요. 내일 모임은 언제 시작해요?
I have a question. When does tomorrow's meeting start?
지금 시간이 조금 있는데요. 교실에서 얘기할까요?
Now I have a little time. Should we talk in the classroom? Next, let's look at using 대 with the past tense and the future tense. These rules work the same for both action verbs and descriptive verbs. For the past tense, attach 는데 directly after the past tense verb stem. This will always end with the consonant double 시옷. For example, 하다 would become 했는데. Note the verb 이다 becomes 이었는데 after a consonant or 였는데 after a vowel. For the future tense, we have two options. For the 겠다 form, attach 는데 directly after the verb stem. So 하다 would become 하겠는데. Or for the 것이다 form, attach the verb 이다 as 인데. So 하다 would become 할 것인데. In addition, 것인데 commonly shortens to 건데. So 하다 could become 할 건데.
나도 가고 싶었는데 시간이 없었어.
I also wanted to go, but I didn't have time.
철수는 잘생겼는데 공부도 잘해요.
철수 is handsome and he's good at studying.
곧 한국으로 갈 건데 혹시 원하는 거 있어요?
I'll go to Korea soon. By chance, is there something you want?
열심히 공부했는데 시험에 떨어졌어요.
I studied hard, but I failed the test. Alternatively, use 그런데 in the same way as 그렇지만 or 하지만 at the beginning of a sentence. This also comes from the verb 그렇다. 그런데 is not used in formal speaking or formal writing. 그런데 or 근데 shows less contrast than 그렇지만 or 하지만, but is more common in everyday speech. And 그런데 is also commonly shortened to 근데.
셔츠를 주문했어요. 그런데 바지가 왔어요.
I ordered a shirt, but pants arrived.
우산이 너무 예뻐요. 근데 좀 작아요.
The umbrella is so pretty, but it's a little small. The 대 form can be combined with the particle 도, meaning also, even, or to, as 대도. This means even though or although, and shows that something was unexpected or surprising.
두꺼운 자켓을 입었는데도 너무 추워요.
Even though I wore a thick jacket, I'm so cold.
그 가수는 성격이 나쁜데도 인기가 많아요.
Even though that singer has a bad personality, they're popular.
오늘 많이 아픈데도 일하러 가야 돼요.
Even though I'm very sick today, I have to go to work. The sentence connector 대도 is also commonly combined with 불구하고 as 대도 불구하고. This comes from the verb 불구하다, meaning to disregard, and literally means disregarding even though, or more naturally, despite the fact that. This has the same meaning as 대도, but shows more emphasis. 불구하고 has a formal feeling and is less common in everyday speech.
비가 많이 내렸는데도 불구하고 축구 경기를 했어요.
Even though it rained a lot, they played the soccer game.
친구인데도 불구하고 저를 전혀 도와주지 않았어요.
Even though they're a friend, they didn't help me at all. In addition to 대도 불구하고, you'll also find 에도 불구하고. This has the same meaning. It can be used after both verbs and nouns. For nouns, attach 에도 불구하고 directly after a noun.
낮은 가격에도 불구하고 품질이 좋습니다.
Despite the low price, the quality is good.
높은 물가에도 불구하고 여행 가는 사람이 많아요.
Despite the high prices, there are lots of people traveling. For verbs, attach directly after a verb stem in the present tense or the past tense that ends with a consonant, or attach 미음 if it ends with a vowel or with the consonant lir. So, 하다 would become 함, 먹다 would become 먹음, and 살다 would become 삶. Then attach 에도 불구하고.
음식 준비를 많이 했음에도 불구하고 모자랐어요.
Despite preparing a lot of food, it wasn't enough.
잠을 오래 잤음에도 불구하고 피로가 풀리지 않았어요.
Despite sleeping for a long time, I didn't recover from my fatigue. Alternatively, you can use 그럼에도 불구하고 on its own, either at the beginning of a sentence or after another sentence connector. This also comes from the verb 그렇다. You can translate it as despite that or nevertheless.
시험 문제가 어려웠어요. 그럼에도 불구하고 다 맞았어요.
The test questions were difficult. Despite that, I got them all correct.
불가능해 보였지만 그럼에도 불구하고 결국 성공했어요.
It looked impossible, but despite that, I succeeded in the end. 더니 is used to emphasize that something that happened in the past has a surprising or unexpected result. It can translate as either but, however, or because, but using 더니 adds more contrast to the sentence than simply using 지만 or 으니까. 더니 is used when the speaker recalls something in the past that they personally experienced, saw, or heard, and what happened has a surprising or unexpected result. You can think of 더니 as meaning either but, however, or because, and as a result, or simply and now. So to use it, for action verbs, attach 더니 directly after a verb stem in the present tense or the past tense, depending on the sentence. So 하다 could become 하더니 or 했더니. For descriptive verbs, attach 더니 after a verb stem in the present tense only. So 덥다 would become 덥더니.
눈이 하나도 안 오더니 폭설이 내렸어요.
It wasn't snowing at all, and then there was a snowstorm.
매일 사진을 찍더니 사진작가가 됐어요.
They took photos every day, and now they became a photographer.
내일 가자고 했더니 싫대요.
I said let's go tomorrow, but they said they don't want to.
매일 운동을 했더니 근육이 생겼어요.
I exercised every day, and now I got muscles.
로션을 바꿨더니 피부가 좋아졌어요.
I changed my lotion, and now my skin got better.
길고양이에게 먹이를 줬더니 저만 따라와요.
I fed a stray cat, and now it only follows me. In addition to 더니, you may also see 다더니 or 라더니. These are a combination of a quoting form with the 더니 ending. For example, 한다고 하더니 can shorten to become 한다더니, and 일하고 하더니 can shorten to become 일하더니. This has the same meaning with the added meaning from the quoting form. Someone says or hears something. To use it, attach 더니 directly after a statement quoting form without 고. So 하다 would become 한다 더니.
못한다더니 너무 잘했어요.
You said you're not good at it, but you did so well.
부부는 닮는다더니 정말 그렇네요.
They say married couples look like each other, and it's really true.
비가 올 거라더니 구름 한 점 없네요.
They said it'll rain, but there isn't a single cloud.
무료라더니 돈을 받아요.
They said it was free, but they're taking money. The form 던데 is a combination of 던 from the past tense and the form 대, and is used to add contrast. It's most often used as a sentence ending as 던데요, but it can also be used as a sentence connector between two parts of a sentence. Specifically, 던 comes from 더, which is used in many grammar forms such as 더라고, 더니, 던지, etc. This 더 means that the speaker personally experienced or personally heard something in the past. Here, the 대 form is used to explain something or introduce helpful information, such as when setting up the stage or background for a story. 던데 is used in this way to add contrast, such as surprise, and to introduce information about the past that the speaker personally experienced. For example, A 던데 B means, so let me tell you about A. It was, but B. To use it, attach 던데 directly after a verb stem in the present tense. So 하다 would become 하던데.
요즘 집에 일찍 가던데 괜찮아요?
Lately you've been going home early. Are you okay?
광고에 많이 나오던데 안 비싸요?
It's appeared in a lot of advertisements. Isn't it expensive?
그 친구는 성격이 별로던데 인기가 많네요.
That friend didn't have a great personality, but they're popular.
수영장도 없던데 물놀이는 어떻게 해요?
There wasn't even a pool, so how do we play in the water? In addition to donde, you might also see 다던데 or 라던데. These are a combination of a quoting form with the donde form. For example, 한다고 하던데 can shorten to become 한다던데, and 일하고 하던데 can shorten to become 일하던데. This has the same meaning with the added meaning from the quoting form. To use it, attach donde directly after a statement quoting form without 고. So 하다 would become 한다 donde.
잘 쉬어야 낫는다던데 걱정이네요.
They said you have to rest well in order to recover, but I'm worried.
다들 그 신발을 신는다던데 저만 없어요.
I heard everyone wears those shoes, but only I don't have them.
철수 친구라던데 저는 처음 봐요.
I heard they're Charsu's friend, but it's the first time I'm seeing them.
유명한 노래라던데 들어봤어요?
I heard it's a famous song, but have you heard it? 건만은 is used to add contrast and to show that something is unexpected. This unexpected feeling comes from something being based on something else. It works in a similar way as the form 지만. You can translate 건만은 as but, however, yet, or although. For example, A 건만은 B can mean based on A, B was something unexpected. Or A, however, what I didn't expect was B. 건만은 is only used in old-style written texts. It's not commonly used. This can also be shortened to 건만 in speech. To use it, attach 건만은 directly after a verb stem in the present tense or the past tense. For example, 하다 could just become 학원만.
수영 연습을 매일 하건만 끝까지 가본 적이 없어요.
I practice swimming every day, but I've never gone to the other end.
틈틈이 거울을 닦건만 볼 때마다 더러워요.
I clean my mirror whenever I have spare time, but whenever I look, it's dirty.
엄마가 원하면 집도 사드리겠건만은 이사할 생각이 없대요.
If my mom wants, I would even buy her a house, but she says she isn't thinking of moving. The particle 만, meaning only, can also be added to the 니다 form. So 합니다 could become 합니다만. This has the same meaning as using the 지만 form, but sounds extra formal. This is less common.
이런 사례도 있습니다만 아주 드뭅니다.
There are instances like this, but it's very rare.
이렇게 합니다만 추천하지 않습니다.
This is how it's done, but I don't recommend it.
여기서도 해줍니다만 전문가가 아니라서 완벽하지 않습니다.
They do it here too, but they're not experts, so it's not perfect. The form 돼 means that the speaker accepts or approves of something, but is adding a limit or requirement after. For example, A 돼 B means I accept A, but the requirement is B. More naturally, you can translate this as while I only, or while you can do this, however, make sure to. You can also think of 돼 as being similar to the form 지만. 돼 is only used in extra formal and fancy speaking or writing. It is not commonly used. It is especially not used in everyday speech. To use it, attach 돼 directly after a verb stem. So 하다 would become 하돼. However, if the verb stem ends with a double 시옷 or 비읍 시옷, attach 돼. So 했다 would become 했으돼. Note that the verb 이다 becomes 이로돼 after a consonant and 로돼 after a vowel. 아니다 becomes 아니로 돼.
달리기를 하되 가볍게 뛰세요.
Run, but run lightly.
새끼를 다 먹되 조금씩 먹었어요.
I ate 3 meals, but I only ate a little of each.
산을 갔으되 등산은 하지 않았어요.
I went to the mountain, but I did not hike. The form 의돼 also has a second usage when introducing a quote. This is only when 의돼 is used with a verb that means to say or to reply, such as 가로다, meaning 말하다, 이르다, or 말씀하시다, among others. For example, A 의돼 B means A says B. This usage is only used in old-style, formal, and or religious speeches. It's not commonly used.
왕께서 명하시되 가뭄에 대비하라.
The king commanded, prepare for a drought.
예언자가 이르시되 자녀를 사랑으로 대하라.
The prophet said, treat your children with love. And that's all for this lesson. Remember to take your time, take lots of notes, and practice everything in this lesson before moving on. And I'll see you again in the next lesson. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.